Support comes from
Entergy provides much more than power. We support science and engineering at local schools to build a brighter path to better jobs and help prepare the next generation. Because together, we power life. Entergy.
additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
The general public is kind of almost at this point conditioned to expect to hear the worst.
At the state capitol, is it politics as usual?
We're working on a very thin margin of profit on soybeans as it is.
Louisiana farmers feel the pinch of Chinese tariffs.
I want you to take one vacation that you would normally leave Louisiana and go see a part of Louisiana you haven't seen.
Pushing staycations, festivals, and the Louisiana experience.
Hi everyone, I'm Andre Morrow. An in-depth look at those stories in just a minute. But right now on SWI, let's check on the week's top headlines.
Effective May 8th, Secretary of State Tom Shedler will resign from office. This comes in the wake of accusations that he sexually harassed an employee for several years. Records show Shedler used his state email account to send sexually suggestive messages to Dawn Ross. Ross recently sued him for sexual harassment, claiming he sent her love letters, then retaliated when she refused his advances. Shedler has said his relationship with Ross was consensual and that he would not step down from office. His resignation letter reads, "I leave the office with a heavy heart, knowing I have disappointed the people in my life who care for me the most." The court debate continues over construction of a crude oil pipeline from south of Lake Charles in Calcasieu Parish through the Atchafalaya Basin to St. James Parish. The focus is whether enough would be done to make up for environmental impacts of the project. A lawyer for Bayou Bridge Pipeline told a federal appeals court in Houston that it would provide appropriate compensation by reestablishing forested wetlands elsewhere in the vast stretch of the swamp. A lawyer suing to stop construction says federal regulators have not taken into full consideration the project's considerable impacts. LSU says at least 46 sexual harassment complaints and investigations took place at its main campus in Baton Rouge between 2013 and 2017. This after the addition of nearly 20 more cases. The information given by LSU is still incomplete. It does not take into account all types of sexual misconduct allegations that may have taken place. The university says they don't include those that involve students or graduate assistants. The legislative auditor says LSU ties for the third highest number among the 25 state agencies it surveyed for its report. Layoff notices have gone out to 770 employees of Lafayette General Health System. The notices come ahead of deep reductions in state funding when the new budget year begins July 1st. Governor John Bell Edwards wants lawmakers to pass replacement taxes in a special session to avoid the cuts. Besides Lafayette, proposed cuts would also close hospitals in Shreveport, Monroe, Bogalusa, and New Orleans, and have damaging ripple effects on LSU med schools in Shreveport and New Orleans because they rely on the facilities to train their students. There is some better news in Louisiana's air. The governor announced the entire state is now in compliance with federal ozone levels. The governor says the state gained compliance because of a better ozone report from Greater Baton Rouge. State police arrested 4 troopers this week, 2 current and 2 former, on allegations of payroll fraud. They are accused of using a traffic ticket program to claim extra duty hours they did not work. The arrests follow a nearly 6-month investigation. One of the arrested troopers, for example, made $147,000 in overtime pay in both 2015 and 16, but a WVUE TV investigation followed him and found him at home during hours he claimed to be working.
Southern University this week fired band director Nathan Hamer. His exit comes after being accused of requesting a kickback for the band to appear at an event for public school children. A lawsuit filed against Hamer and Southern prompted a university investigation. In a statement, the popular Hamer said, "I always took pride in being an ambassador for Southern University, and at no time did I ever act in a nefarious manner by accepting kickbacks, as falsely reported by the media." Former band director Lawrence Jackson, who retired 4 years ago and was succeeded by Hamer, will return in the interim while Southern conducts a search for Hamer's replacement. On paper, there's exactly 1 month left for lawmakers to finish their regular session business at the Capitol. Now, they have to finish by June 4th, but officials have said they want to wrap up early, possibly as soon as May 18th, so they can get back to working to patch up the shortfall for the spending plan set to begin on July 1st. There are a lot of dates to keep straight for us, and here to help us sort it all out are a couple of reporters who spend each day at the Capitol: Elizabeth Crisp of The Advocate and Jeremy Alford with La Politics. And of course, LPB's Kelly Spires starts us off. Kelly?
Thank you very much, Andre. So I'd like to hear from the two of you. Do you think that there's enough time in the schedule for them to wrap up by May 18th?
Are we taking bets here? You know, there are a lot of people are very hopeful. Yesterday we saw the House trying a little bit of an experiment with an expediting process of getting bills through, and the Speaker and also the Majority Leader both said that they feel like this will help them as they continue over the next couple of weeks in their path to trying to finish early. I'm a little hesitant to speculate that they will actually do it because there's still a lot going on. There's still a lot of bills in play right now in the Capitol. There's still a lot of House bills that need to go through the Senate, a lot of Senate bills that need to go through the House. And so I think that, you know, at this point, it's anybody's call.
Right. So the governor has signed some bills, but a lot of the more controversial bills are kind of stalled in each chamber. It looks like kind of like a game of chicken.
Yeah, look, I think there's enough time to move the Capitol back to Donaldsonville and declare the crawfish the state bird. The question is whether there's enough goodwill and agreement in the body to do anything. And, you know, the big question is the budget. You know, is the budget going to move? It sounds like senators are earnestly trying to forge a compromise. They intend to move a budget out of Senate Finance. Is that passed in time? Does that end up in a conference committee? You know, it's important to remember that legislators and the governor have until the end of the fiscal year, not the end of the session, which would be the last day of June.
Yeah.
One thing that we have begun to see, the notices to hospitals. These are scary things when you have 700 notices go out, pink slips, to Lafayette Hospital to say, hey, you're going to have to find another place to be in that time period. And that's just one of many. So what is the ripple effect of that, and what's the reality? Are we going to really see this?
You know, it's interesting because, I mean, these are things that have to happen by virtue of timelines and process because there is so much uncertainty. They have to start sending these out. We've seen it with Lafayette. Next will be New Orleans, probably. We'll see more. If it gets to that point, we'll actually see people who are getting notices that they're going to be kicked out of nursing homes, and it's really scary. It's very, very scary. You know, you always like to think like surely they're going to figure things out before this happens, before that actually gets to that. But they have to let people know, and so it's one of those things. It's really hard to tell people, you know, you shouldn't be afraid about this, but it is the reality of where we are at this point because the legislature has not been able to, for 2 years, figure out how to solve these financial problems that we have gotten to the point where these things are happening.
Yeah, this is ongoing, and of course the notices have to go out. That's so unsettling, but it's even more unsettling when you think, certainly this can't really happen.
Well, it
can.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's part of the perennial song and dance that goes on around the budget. Elizabeth and I this week found ourselves kind of somewhat unexpectedly at a speech the governor gave to a group called One Acadiana, it's the Lafayette Chamber, and they were talking about these notices, and the governor actually used the words. He said, "But I don't think that's going to happen." Because if we don't take care of the budget, then it'll happen. And but it's, you know, Elizabeth's right. These things have to go through this process, and we're at that point.
Yeah, and you know, like you said, that was the Acadiana group, and that was right after the Lafayette Hospital had sent out all these notices. And you know, we have a governor who it's been kind of replayed and become this kind of thing that he got on TV and said we might not have LSU football anymore,
right,
and all
exactly.
of that. So we have had 2 years of all of these terrible things are going to happen if we don't fix it. We haven't fixed it yet, and you know, hospitals haven't shut down yet, so you like to think that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
More broadly and a little bit more technically, what happens if we don't have a budget by June 30th?
Well, Louisiana does not have a government shutdown option like about a dozen other states do. We have never gone into a fiscal year without a budget in recent history. The governor's office is looking at it. The Treasury's been looking at it. The governor's office states that the previous year fiscal year budget does not roll over and take effect. There are actually some Republicans in the House who do believe that, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing some folks like Jeff Landry, the Attorney General, start to weigh in on this. There's no clear guidance in law. There's no case law. There's no precedent. You can look at Illinois. The Illinois Assembly failed to pass a budget for fiscal year 16, 17, and most of 18. And there were some very dramatic results from that in Illinois. Vendors had to sue the state to get paid. There were entities that had to be shut down. So we don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. But as long as they have something on paper by the end of June, they should be fine. But somehow that feels like a high bar for the Louisiana legislature.
How crazy is it that we're in a place where it's like everybody's trying to research what actually happens? You know, we've been going through this for 2 years, trying to fix the same problem, and we're at the point where everybody that you talk to is talking about they're researching this right now.
Is there almost a blasé feel though about a lot of this? It seems like because it's been going on for so long that we're conditioned to expect to feel this kind of malaise almost. But is there any sense of urgency that is beginning to pick up as the days pass?
I think that a lot of people inside the Capitol recognize the urgency. My concern is, and I hear a lot, you know, I get a lot of reader feedback and feedback on social media and everything. It seems like people, the general public, is kind of almost at this point conditioned to expect to hear the worst. We have a terrible budget situation, and all they know is it always gets fixed. And so that's my concern, is just that outside of the Capitol walls, like all people have heard for 2 years is doom and gloom, and even before that, you know.
Sure, yeah.
And so it just kind of seems like I don't know that the general public necessarily feels the urgency as much anymore because it has been going on for so long.
Well, to put a pin in budget talk, kind of one of the largest news items from the week is that the Secretary of State resigned amid allegations of sexual harassment. What is talk around the Capitol about who might run to replace him?
Well, it looks like we'll have a special election probably in November. I'm assuming for that race. There's a lot of people looking at that race. I think a lot of the maybe candidates were hoping it would be a special election. They prefer a special election. It's going to be very low turnout. It's going to be a lot cheaper than running in a 2019 race. But really no one has officially announced for the seat yet. I know that there may be one coming soon from the legislature. There's several lawmakers looking at it.
And you know, it's a race because it's a special election. There's no real downside to being somebody whose name is thrown out there as possibly running. But I do think that it's interesting. You have a lot of Republicans right now who are sizing up this race against the governor who is up for re-election the following year. And if nothing else, it is an opportunity for getting your name out there. I've talked to some Republicans who are right now saying that seriously, there are as many as 10 candidates who are like sizing this up right now. So I think that, we saw a lot of speculation over the treasurer's race just a year ago. But I think that this one is actually going to be a bit bigger.
And the treasurer's race is probably a solid case study for this fall election. It was a special election, off year, and it was all about regional base. If that race taught us anything, is that region matters. John Schroeder was able to take his St. Tammany base, the donut parishes around New Orleans, and Julie Stokes looks like she could do the same for the Secretary of State's race.
We will find out very soon. Elizabeth, Jeremy, of course, thank you so much, Kelly. We appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
The threat of Chinese trade tariffs is hitting Louisiana farmers' pocketbooks. Although some of the talk has cooled off lately, it's still shadowing the markets. It's a sign of worry for crops grown in Louisiana like soybeans, where planting is just getting underway. Neil Melanson with This Week in Louisiana Agriculture has this report.
Soybean seed is stacked to the ceiling at Olivier Farms in Arnaudville here. They've been waiting for things to dry out after an unusually wet spring to plant, which is why they still have these 3,500 acres unplanted. Looming higher than these soybean seeds, however, is the threat of what lower prices may bring.
Tariff does concern me for long-term price or price decrease, because we're working on a very thin margin of profit on soybeans as it is. $10 is about what it takes just to make us consider or be close to being in a profit margin. And today I think soybeans are selling for $10.30 something, so there's not a whole lot of profit margin to be made. If this tariff forces the price to drop 40 or 50 cents, it may put us out of the black. So it's a big concern for us long term.
Joey farms with his son Aaron, who's getting the equipment ready. He's focused on the task at hand because while he recognizes the harm tariffs might do, it's all still up in the air right now.
There's already talks of subsidies that could come into play, which, that might help in the long term. Maybe if these tariffs come into place and then the government actually enacts these subsidies to help us out, it might counteract the negatives. So. Obviously it could hurt, It's hard to really know and see until it comes into play.
While the Oliviers are waiting on things to dry out, their seed dealer, Dennis Marcantel, pays them a visit. He said lower prices, whether from tariffs or from the huge supply of soybeans already out there, are a big threat to his business.
Kind of early, but if you give it another month or two, the way the commodity market could go down some more, and some of these guys in South Louisiana could back off the soybean acre.
East of the Oliviers in Irwinville, Ray Scheck-Snyder is checking on the 250 acres of beans he's already planted so far. He knows that many of these soybeans growing here will one day make their way to China, where the tariffs will hit them hardest. However, it's been an issue that growers like him have been working on since before the tariff issue even came up.
Being that China is our biggest importer of soybeans, it was kind of a big scare when it first got announced, thinking that they would retaliate, but I don't know if there's just that much usage worldwide that, and that's what kind of the United Soybean Board that I serve on, we're starting to look into some of these countries that aren't such big users of beans and trying to get them to use more.
For SWI in Irwinville, I'm Neil Melanson.
And once again, that report comes from our friends at the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation and their TV show, This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. There are more festivals in Louisiana than there are days in the year. No surprise, we're often called the festival capital of the world. World-famous Jazz Fest wraps up this weekend in New Orleans, and May is jammed with local festivals, much like we saw in April. I talked with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser about Louisiana's festival tradition. We're at the historic Pentagon Barracks in downtown Baton Rouge. History is one of the reasons that we celebrate the many festivals that we have in Louisiana. Lieutenant Governor, there are a number of reasons, and there are more than 400 festivals year-round in the state.
Every year they keep adding new ones. I keep saying one day I'm going to get around all of them. That's not going to happen, because every year I think we added the Beignet Festival, the fried chicken. So every year we add more and more to the already full plate we have. That seems to kick off the season about now.
Yeah, it seems like it, though they go year-round.
Year-round.
Virtually. I mean, right now there are a bunch that are happening. One that's upcoming is the Breaux Bridge Crawfish Festival.
Crawfish.
And they call it Pirate Days now in Lake Charles. Speak about that a little bit.
Those are regional events that draw people from around the country, but also a lot of Louisianans. You know, they go from the Jazz Fest, and next week it'll be the Pirate Fest, Breaux Bridge Crawfish in between. But you've got them in every neck of the woods around Louisiana, from the Frog Fest. Every area has their niche, and all of them have something unique and special, from the music, the food, the culture, the crafts, and the people. The one thing they all have in common is they all treat strangers like family, and that's the thing that makes Louisiana special.
How has your new motto, tourism slogan, how's that gone over, and what kind of traction have you seen with it?
Well, it seems to really be gaining a lot of steam. Of course, we need everybody to use it. Louisiana, feed your soul. You can feed your soul with music, with food, with culture, with fishing, with history, with all kind of things in Louisiana. And we let the data drive that slogan. We didn't just come up with it. We got focus groups around Louisiana, Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, Denver, into Canada, and we asked people, what does Louisiana mean to you? And it was that deep soul, that rich, that personality that seemed to come up, and it drew everything back to Louisiana, where you can feed your soul with just about anything.
You are Louisiana through and through. It's no secret your passion for Louisiana, your love for our state. Do you have a favorite festival? That's a loaded question. Huh?
You know, I tell you, I'll be going to the Frog Fest. I remember catching those frogs with those long legs, but I've gone to as many as I can make since I've been Lieutenant Governor. And I remember as a kid getting in that wood panel station wagon and heading to the Strawberry Festival. So they all have a lot of history and meaning with me growing up as a kid around Louisiana, all the way up north to the Watermelon Festival. The last time I was up there, I bought a 300-pound watermelon. So I didn't know they had a 300-pound watermelon before I got up there. But they all have something unique and special, and there's something that I love about each and every one of them, and the history behind them.
You answered that well. There's a Seafood and Heritage Festival in Plaquemines Parish, though.
Absolutely.
That's got to be dear to your heart.
It is, and I was king of the Orange Festival. So down at Fort Jackson, a lot of history there. Obviously the best oranges grown in the world in Plaquemines Parish. So we've got a lot of history and business culture and industry behind that festival that's in Fort Jackson every year. So they all have a unique, and they all have an economic benefit to their town, their city. They pour their hearts and soul in the preparation. And one thing we hope to do on a statewide basis is to do a better job as we continue to promote staycation around Louisiana. I want you to take one vacation that you would normally leave Louisiana and go see a part of Louisiana you haven't seen. We think it's a real opportunity for us to grow the attendance at many of these small towns and their events that they host.
Sounds good. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. You know, with so many thousands, by the way, you can check out LouisianaTravel.com for complete festival information on all the ways you can hashtag feed your soul. Now, with so many thousands spending hours outdoors at festivals and elsewhere, we're reminded the toll the sun and heat can have on you. Here's Dr. Ronnie Whitfield.
We got The increased risk of skin cancer, you've got increased risk of dehydration. One thing that physicians truly fear is heat stroke. You have young babies out there that are not being protected and covered, so we have to be very precautious during the summer months. We want you to go out and have a great time. There's outdoor festivals and concerts, but we really want you to protect your skin and protect your health.
Let's talk about the skin protection first.
Yeah. So we hear people talking about SPF, the sun protection factor that's in sunscreens. So along with making sure that your skin is covered, a lot of people say, well, it's hot outside. I don't want to have a long sleeve shirt on. You can wear sun protection factors starting at least a level of 15. That delays the time that the skin turns red for up to about 5 hours. The problem with that is a lot of us sweat when we're outdoors, so you want to reapply that sunscreen probably every hour, especially if you're in a swimming pool. So once you come out that pool, reapply the sunscreen and then continue having a great time.
The people say, I know this is not new, but people forget and have to be reminded.
They forget
We all do.
They forget until they show up in the office and I got to do a skin biopsy and tell them that they have skin cancer, which is treatable, but who wants to deal with that, from chemo, radiation, and potentially the long-term complications. Well, melanomas can actually kill you. And by the way, I make this point, African Americans do get skin cancer. We know that being in the sun during the safe hours before 10 and after 3 is supposed to reduce the amount of UV light that penetrates the skin, but there's still some exposure, so you've got to protect yourself.
What if you see a freckle or something that looks a little different? What do you look for?
Well, the first thing you do is talk to your doctor, and if you have a history of freckles, they're going to follow them and watch them. But we're looking for irregular borders, things that bleed, things that grow variegated. So there might be black, brown, pink, and white, so different colors and irregular borders. And if they get irritated easily, you want to have your physician check those out right away.
But you come in and you have them checked out.
First thing is coming to the doctor.
Staying hydrated. You want to keep fluids in your body because one thing, when you lose that, then you can lose your orientation.
Yeah. By the time you're thirsty, you're 3 to 5% dehydrated already. So if you know you're going to be outdoors for a long period of time, you want to hydrate before. Your urine should be light yellow to clear. Some signs of dehydration is, again, confusion. That's towards the end, so you're about to have a heat stroke. But being tired, you're swimming 2 or 3 days in a row, you're really fatigued and tired, check your weight. If you weighed 100 pounds on Monday and you weighed 98 pounds on Tuesday, you probably didn't lose 2 pounds, you lost 2 pounds of fluid. So you want to make sure that you hydrate back up to your normal weight.
So I'm going to the festival. What's my checklist of things I need to take with me?
Hat, shades, water, lots of water, Gatorade, Powerade, if you're going to be doing a lot of dancing and jumping around, minimizing the alcohol and the heat, and have a good time.
As always, good advice, and our thanks to Dr. Whitfield. That is our show for this week. Remember, you can watch LPB on demand on your phone or tablet with our LPB Anywhere app. And please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. For everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow. Thanks for watching. Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Support comes from
Entergy provides much more than power. We support science and engineering at local schools to build a brighter path to better jobs and help prepare the next generation. Because together, we power life. Entergy.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.